And Sheila, we have about 13 attendees, if you want to just announce that at the beginning.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for December 9th, 2021. Calling the meeting to order. We will, I have to take a roll, and that would be Pat, are you here?
Yes, here.
Mike?
Here.
Alan?
Here.
Ed is not, and I am. Okay. Approve Selectmen minutes for November 24th.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Gotta take roll call. Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
And it passed. I was not present, but that motion passes. Item 3, public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone who wants to address the Board of Selectmen with any issue that is not on the agenda. And do we see any hands? All right, then we'll go. Okay.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi. Okay, thank you. James McMahon from Goose Rocks Road. Just real quick, I just want to acknowledge and thank Lori Smith and the clerk staff for their perseverance and due diligence in the matter of validation of current residency and verification of voter status with the Kennebunkport School Board elected official, Louis Braxton Jr. I hope that the outcome is one that does not lead to fraudulent or unethical behavior and ability to mislead Kennebunkport residents that have a higher expectation of their elected officials in town. Again, thank you, Lori and staff, for seeing this through. That's that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Any comments? Okay, we'll go on to item 4. Appoint Beth Richardson to the Recreation Committee. Is Beth?
Yep. Good evening, everyone. I have prepared a report and I'm here tonight to recommend Beth Richardson for appointment to the Recreation Committee. Beth is a resident of Kennebunkport after living over 30 years in Portland. So she is new to the community and wants to get involved. And she has done volunteer work in the past and has an interest in parks. She's using the tennis courts out at Rotary Park and so wants to get involved, and we'd love to have her be a part of this committee. So I would like to recommend her for your approval.
You know, she's this is a great place for her to start. She'll get the chance to meet all kinds of different people.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And we'll take a roll. Pat?
And that motion is, I assume, with a term to expire in July of 2022.
Exactly. Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Sheila says aye. Motion passes. Thank you and welcome to the new committee for you. Item 5, presentation for Kennebunk Heritage Housing Trust Board.
So Mike and Dave, we have in the audience, I see Sarah Dore and Pat Clancy. Could we bring them up to panelists? And I'll just ask Jay and Allison to hide their video for now. And I believe Pat Briggs is going to start us off.
Did you want to say anything at all, Lawyer? I don't want to preempt you, but I will. you're not. Okay, I got it. I got the head nod. Well, good evening. I'm the president of Kennebunkport Heritage Housing Trust, and I wish to report how we have reached this point with the Heritage Woods development and what our plans are for the next few years. I am pleased to be joined by Patrick Clancy and Sarah Doré, Vice President and Secretary, respectively, of the Trust. 2.5 years ago, the Kennebunkport Heritage Housing Trust was formed at the direction of the Board of Selectmen to establish a source of affordable workforce housing that would meet the needs of young families, working members of our town, and those senior citizens seeking to continue to live in Kennebunkport. An energetic and talented group of volunteers formed the board for the trust, and in 6 months, we registered with the IRS as a 501c3 and a 501c4 nonprofit organization, all by December of 2019. Financial support from the Board of Selectmen and the donation of a parcel of tax-acquired land from the town formed the foundation of the Heritage Woods development of 6 affordable homes. These are the first of our planned goal of 25 homes by the year 2025. The Trust began a campaign to raise funds from the community, local businesses, and Maine State Housing Authority to start construction. Broad-based community support from landscaping, construction, engineering, architectural, and legal firms all contributed significantly to this project. Both Pat Clancy and Sarah Doré will explain in greater detail how we built Heritage Woods and how we selected the applicants and raised funds necessary to build the homes. But the trust has been successful because we leveraged the available resources, which are donated or low-cost land, standardized, energy-efficient, quality-built modular homes, and support from our community and donations, and mortgages largely financed by and paid for by the homeowners. A very important feature is the trust does not take a profit, in contrast with conventional developers. All funds for the project go into its development, and this enables the trust to provide high-quality homes at affordable houses for our workforce families. The homeowners own their homes and pay taxes on them to our town. The trust retains ownership of the land and leases it to the homeowners with a 99-year deed that enables the trust to keep the homes in the affordable price range. The former skating rink property paid no tax to the town, whereas altogether these homes will pay an estimated $12,000 in annual taxes to the town. And now I'd like to ask Pat Clancy and Sarah to report on how we brought the Heritage Woods development to this point, and then we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. Pat?
Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Board of Selectmen, for your vision, your commitment to a diverse year-round community in Kennebunkport, and support for the work of the housing trusts. I'd like to focus briefly on 3 dimensions of our Heritage Woods subdivision: design and construction, financing, and our use of a long-term land lease. First, we retained a top award-winning design firm, Caleb Johnson Studio, to create distinctive designs for our homes, both in the interior light and air and openness and in the unique and attractive facades. We then combined that with use of a Maine modular builder, KBS, that gave us significant cost economies over a stick building. The result is a high quality and cost-efficient built environment. Second, we put together a complex array of resources to enable these homes to be affordable. Beginning with donated land, thank you very much. We got the maximum funding available from Maine Housing under its affordable subdivision program, competed for and got on behalf of our home buyers grants for most of the homes from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston, and with repeated events and continuous outreach, raised several $100,000 from area residents and businesses. This meant that our homeowners only needed to finance 3/4 of the cost of each home. and we worked with them to assure the best mortgage terms in a collaboration with Bangor Savings Bank. This aspect of creating affordable housing, weaving available resources into a feasible and affordable fabric, is highly complex and demanding. We showed we can perform at a high level meeting that challenge, and we look forward to continuing to do so. Lastly, we used a 99-year land lease to enable the trust to assure continuing affordability and stability over the long term, consistent with our home buyers being able to share in the increased value of their homes. This lease does not impede our homeowners' rights. On the contrary, it enables us to assure that our homeowners are supported in realizing their dream of homeownership in Kennebunkport. The trusts look forward to carrying out more affordable developments like Heritage Woods. We're looking now at potential next sites and beginning to raise new resources. We know that Governor Mills will soon be announcing a significant expansion of funds available from the state for affordable home ownership, and we look forward to taking advantage of those increased funds. And we know that the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston is increasing its per home funding levels, which we also intend to capitalize upon. We also believe we can contribute to the development of the village parcel and look forward to bringing forth our thoughts and suggestions on that key effort over the next year. I've focused on the real estate and the money side of this work, but fundamentally it's all about people. The people now able to call Kennebunkport home and to contribute to this community that would not have had that opportunity were it not for our work. Sarah Dore will now talk to you about our families and about the process of working with them to make home ownership in Kennebunkport their reality. Sarah?
Great. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat. And thank you to members of the Select Board for this opportunity to update you tonight on the great work that we're doing here at Kennebunkport Heritage Housing Trust. So as Pat previously noted, the Trust Board was formed in late 2018. We officially became a 501c3 nonprofit in 2019. And in that very short amount of time, and I might add amidst a global pandemic, our small but mighty board has researched and planned and problem solved, designed, created, cried, only a little, collaborated, problem solved some more, and celebrated. The vision and hope for affordable housing in Kennebunkport has now been realized, with our 6 new homes in Heritage Woods done or very near completion, an exciting landmark for sure, but the work is far from done. As Pat's teams were working on securing the design and financial structures of the project, the administrative team of KHHT was hard at work researching and exploring successful housing trust models here in Maine and around the country. We developed application materials, striving to ensure that our process to homeownership was inclusive, low barrier, welcoming, and reflective of the open arm experience here in Kennebunkport. With strong marketing, outreach, and virtual information sessions in the month of December, the official application process drew extensive interest when the application process for homeownership in Heritage Woods officially began in early January 2021. In collaboration with Bangor Savings Bank, homebuyers secured their financial eligibility through mortgages and worked with us to match their families' needs with the affordable homes. Today, the families that you see or will see coming and going, decorating their yards and imagining their futures are local business owners and employees right here in Kennebunkport. They're veterans, they're people that work in the education world, they're in the service industry, they're local professionals. Some are coming with new ties to the community and some are coming with generational ties. People who work, support, volunteer, and now officially live in the town that they love. Our schools are now, or will be, depending on how old the kids are, 7 children fuller, and Kennebunkport is 17 people stronger and more vibrant. As excited as we are to be nearing completion of this first neighborhood, we really have a lot of work left to do. Unfortunately, the grim data when we started this work 3 years ago, when we were all meeting and sort of talking about why we needed to do this, has actually become much more challenging to support our collective goal of a vibrant, diverse, year-round community. Southern Maine, much like the state and nation, continues to combat the ever-growing problem of affordable housing. Over the last year, this challenge has only become exacerbated by devastating impacts of COVID-19 pandemic, rapid in-migration, which has been resulting in further decreases in our already limited housing stock, skyrocketing development costs, and crippling supply shortages. In 2020, Maine was recognized as having the 9th largest gap between the income of an average renter and the income needed to afford a 2-bedroom rental. And our 3 towns, Arundel, Kennebunk, and Kennebunkport, were identified as 3 out of the 5 least affordable towns in York County. A little bit more about Kennebunkport. This year, the median sale price for a non-waterfront home was $680,000, which is a 37% increase since 2019. The median sale price for a waterfront home was $1,597,000, which was a 17.94% increase since 2019. And the average overall sale price of all homes was $905,000, an increase of $305,100, a 50% increase since 2019. And yet, here in Kennebunkport, the median household income is $82,597. The income required to afford a median home of $98,319 is over $15,000 more than the average household earns here in town. The number of year-round residents is declining, with only 54% of homeowners living year-round, and 63% of our town's population is over the age of 45, with 39% currently over the age of 60. All this to say, we've got work to do. And while the journey will be uphill, we're confident that the strengths and lessons that we've learned building and creating our first neighborhood, combined with the absolutely incredible ongoing support we've received from individuals, fundraising events, foundations, grants, banks, and businesses, will continue to help us be successful as we look to bring 19 more homes to Kennebunkport by 2025. As always, we are grateful for your support of our work to build on the strengths of this great community that we call home. And before I turn it back over for any questions, I'll just share that in the packet you were provided is our newest winter newsletter. And in there, you'll see both pictures updating the progress on the homes. You'll hear updates on the families. You'll see updates on all of our events. Right now, we've got a community food drive that we're partnering with Habitat for Humanity to do. We have 2 drop-off locations in Kennebunkport at Graves Library and at the police station. So for anyone listening, check out our website and you'll learn more there. But we'll be planning on doing another spring/summer newsletter. So stay tuned. We'll wrap up Heritage Woods and tell you more about our next project then. So thank you all so very much.
Well, thank you, Sarah. I think this gives you a snapshot of what we've tried to work towards and the success that we've achieved. So we'd like to take any questions you might have about anything that we're doing.
You know,
Go ahead.
Can I just say first, your committee, we've worked with a lot of committees over the years, and we have very good committees. Your committee is outstanding. For all that you did in such a short period of time, I tip my hat to you and all of you. Such a good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
you're
And
absolutely right.
Alan?
Yeah, we visited this before about seeing if we could find a little more land so they could continue their projects. And for some reason, it got on the back burner for other reasons. But I'd like to look forward into the next selectmen's meeting to see if we can come up with something. I know that we have a few parcels of land that they could use, could build on. And I think that we need to bring this back up before the board. See if we can help them.
Yeah, the land is the key element in our project because it is how you get going, and we need to have it. Essentially, this is to achieve the goals the town has set up. If you look at the new, comprehensive plan for this town of Kennebunkport, housing for the working force is a major part of what they want to achieve. So this is how to do it.
The town's would benefit from just the taxes. Hopefully we have new families, people moving into town with kids, and the school would survive. Right now, I think we've gained a few kids from last year, but we don't want to lose our school. And the only way not to lose your school is to make sure you have kids in the community.
Right.
And I'm all for it.
Well, that's certainly the case. Any more questions?
No, what I will just say is, I think at one point you said you would have to take a look at which lands are available and which ones are more conducive for your building than others. So maybe we can discuss that in January.
Well, this is certainly the key element to everything, because it's how we take advantage of the land. You're right. Some of the land is extremely difficult and very costly to develop, but it may have other applications. Could we then take advantage of that and get income from the land if you sell it or whatever, so we can begin to develop the land that's better suited for us? Ideally, you would like to have access to sewer and water, because that allows you to build at a higher density level, and it does take away an expensive element. You have no well and septic that you have to worry about.
Right.
I think Mike had something to say, didn't you, Mike?
The only question I had was, this is a great program. Really happy that the town is part of it, and I hope we can continue it. I was just been following the construction every day, and wonder when those last 3 units are going to be occupied. Is it this year?
The last. Go ahead, Pat.
Go ahead. We expect that the last home will be occupied in January. It's really there's one home we'll be closing on in the next 10 days. There's one after that, probably before December's out, then probably another in early January, and the final one by probably the second or third week in January. So
I think that's terrific. It's to hear that we got 17 new people and a number of children coming into the school. It's great. It's great.
We tried to point out the challenges we've had, because the supply chain affects us as well. The price of lumber went up fourfold. It's just one thing after another that is an impediment, but you have to overcome in order to get there. So did it push us a little further than we wanted to be? Certainly. We had hoped to finish up this month, but next month it's where it's going to end up.
Good.
Great job.
Yeah, great presentation.
Job.
Absolutely great. Thank you guys very
Thank you
much.
all. Take good care.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 6. Presentation of new sand for seniors program. Lori?
Hi, we have Allison Kenaway here tonight to tell you about the Sand for Seniors.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Allison.
I am just here to tell you about the new Sand for Seniors project that we started. We just kicked it off last week. It's basically a project to provide seniors in our community with a bucket of sand delivered to their homes. It's intended for those who live alone or are unable to carry a bucket of sand safely back to their home. They are pretty heavy. Kennebunkport Public Health and the Public Works Department are working on this together to provide 5-gallon buckets of sand that they can use at their homes, on their walkways and steps, to prevent slips and falls during the cold winter months of the next few months of the ice and the snow. We felt it would be a great community project and a great opportunity for Public Works to get involved with face-to-face contacts with some of the seniors in town that they don't normally run into on a daily basis. And we had a lot of donations of buckets from our local business community, and it's been really great. So I'd like to just thank the Pilot House, Nonantum, Kennebunk Resort Collection, Lost Fire, so far have made bucket donations. And if anyone wants a bucket of sand, they're going to call the Public Health Office, and I'll make sure it gets there eventually.
Allison, can residents just go to the Public Works area?
I'm pretty sure that that's the way it's always been, that you could bring your own bucket and get it filled at Public Works.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is for, they are heavy. This is for the seniors that wouldn't be able to carry it themselves, or some of them don't even drive any longer. So,
right. It's a great idea. Very good. Anybody have questions, comments?
So did you get all the buckets you needed?
Currently we do, but we'll see. We've had only eight requests so far. So it just came out though. We just started it. So
did you have a chance to talk to Chris Mayo down?
I did. He said he would keep an eye out for some for me. There's
a lot of them that get thrown in the waste.
Yeah. He mentioned that they often have now a return. The lobstermen can return the buckets for, I guess there's a deposit on them or something, he thought. But he was going to help me out.
Okay.
I haven't heard from him yet, though.
I'll keep an eye out for you.
Okay. Thanks, Alan.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Allison.
Okay. Thank you.
So again, if there are any seniors out there, or if you have a neighbor, give Allison a call and get your name placed on the list. All right, item 7.
Yes, so I just want to note too for the public that we have 13 attendees in case we didn't say that. Next is the update on the radio tower project. So I have Chief Sanford and Chief Everett, and I wanted to have them give you an update on where we are. You'll remember we're not only replacing, but expanding our radio towers and replacing all of our equipment. It's a fairly complex project. We're hoping to soon a contract to authorize, but I'll turn it over to them to update you.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Chief.
Chief Everett's still muted, so I'll just take over. So if you remember correctly, we started this whole project out. The town's current radio systems are very outdated and are ineffective, so we need to make the situation better for all our public safety employees as well as the town staff. We put a committee together. That committee sat down and looked at what the needs were and what our desires were. Our main desire was to stick with Motorola that we are all familiar with and currently have in most of our equipment. With that being said, doing that requires us to kind of not take on the bidding process that we normally would, where we go out for RFP and get requests. It's a single source. So in doing that, trying to stick within the town's requirements in the purchasing process, we have a third-party person that is working with us to look at the proposal that we currently have from Motorola and our two-way representative. That's our local vendor, and see if the project that has been drawn up and that we budgeted for is actually what the town is going to need and hopefully serve us well within the coming years, hopefully a 20-year process. That process has taken some time. We've been back and forth with the vendor. We're waiting for language and contracts and things of that nature to be solidified. But, we're trying to get the best buy that we can for the money that we have and make sure that it's everything that the town needs. And it's not just police fire, but it's also the highway department, the sewer department, as well as chems. So it's a big umbrella that we're trying to serve and make sure that the town is getting its best bang for its buck. And that's where we are right now. We're hopes that maybe next month's meeting we can bring forward a final contract. You folks will be able to look at it and ask any questions. But again, we're trying to stay within our parameters that we've been given and make sure that we're getting what the town needs. Chief Everett, if you've got anything else?
No, you hit all the spots. It is under what we have, so that's good. Slightly under, but we'll be continuing to go through our process of making sure it's right for what we need and what the town needs. And will be good for, another 20, 25 years or so.
If there's any questions, please ask.
I think as a comment, a lot of people don't realize it. When everything is going along fine, you never hear about this. You don't know about it. It's just there and it works and everything's fine. But when we do have a crisis, whether it's weather or other, and you need the resources that we're talking about being able to provide, that's when you really appreciate the effort that we're going to put into this new system. So thank you very much, Chief and Chief.
Just so you're aware, just as a quick side note, Prelude, our first event was Friday, and I couldn't talk to some of my officers just in the square. That's how bad our current.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what
Yep.
we're going to fix.
Good.
Thank you.
Craig,
Yes.
what are the, as far as upgrades, once this whole project is done, as well as I, everybody knows things change so quickly in the digital area. Is there the opportunity to upgrade the system as we go along for changes?
Yes, currently the radios that we are going to be purchasing will have that digital capability. So if for some reason the world changes and we have to go to the P25 system that you hear in all of this world that a lot of emergency services are going to, we will be able to do that. These will all be capable of doing that. So we are thinking ahead.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, the fire department is staying in analog for now because right now, when the members are wearing their pagers to get their calls, you can't do it on a digital platform. But everything we're buying is going to be able to be brought up to digital once that day comes that either we can page through digital or something forces us to have to go digital. But we'll already have that infrastructure in place.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Comments?
Let's get it done. Yep.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. All right, moving on. Item 8, presentation of the Conservation Commission priorities for 2021 and 2022.
So in the audience, I know we have Carol Morris there. Could Mike and Dave bring Carol up as a panelist? And Carol, I don't know if you have anyone else that you wanted to.
No, we don't have a lot of time. It's kind of a full agenda.
Yes, it is. So we have with us tonight Carol Morris, who, I don't know, Carol, you still co-chair or just chair?
Chair.
Chair of the Conservation Commission. And so the Conservation Commission has had a lot of new appointments in the past year, and they're a very engaged group who is interested in moving forward on a variety of subject matter. And so they have prepared for you in your packet a list of their mission and goals that they have for their priorities over the next year. And I did ask Carol to come and speak to the board about what those are so that you could make sure that you're having a dialogue and are on the same page. So I'll turn it over to Carol.
Great. Thanks, everybody, for having the time to listen. So the Conservation Commission this fall developed 5 goals for the upcoming year, and several of them are definitely multi-year projects that, as those are included as in your packet, as Lori said, and also for the public to see. The first goal is to create a pesticide ordinance for the town. And to give some background on that, back in 2016, the town had adopted best practices for turf pesticides and fertilizers, and the KCC at that time promoted a a program called Lawns for Lobsters, which is basically a volunteer educational program for homeowners and lawn care companies to encourage people to reduce their amount of pesticide and fertilizers, and also to explain, why, that they're harmful to shellfish, bees, etc. So a formal pesticide ordinance is something that this committee feels strongly is needed in the town, given our extensive shorefront and water resources, as well as because of the increasing development adjacent to those resources. Now, I'm quite new to this committee, but I was at a table at Election Day, and we got a lot of positive comments from people walking by talking about an ordinance. As always, the devil is in the details, but one of our commission members is working as we speak on a first draft, and we're going to begin looking at that at the next commission meeting, which is actually next Monday. And we'll be asking for public comment as we work through it. And of course, then bringing it to the selectmen for them to look at. So questions on that?
Carol, have you worked with landscapers in the area as well?
Well, the person who's putting it together is Carol Lavoisier, who is a landscaper. She's a qualified organic landscaper. So she's taken the lead in terms of doing a first draft.
But I mean,
no, we have not done, we haven't done any outreach yet.
Okay.
That definitely is on the plan to do as soon as we get a look at it and see what kind of questions come up and what the committee is interested in doing.
I would think that would be one of your first steps, is to talk with all the landscapers to see if you could get them all on board and see where it went from there. That's my opinion. I think that's a very important step.
I agree. And because we're going to get started in the holiday season, that obviously can't really take place until January. But
okay.
So
I think that's an important part, because if you find that all of the landscapers in the area are using non-pesticide type fertilizer, we may not even need an ordinance.
That would certainly be a positive development if we found that. I'm pretty sure that's not the case, but we will find out.
And I would also, how would we enforce something like that? That's another question.
That is part of this discussion. There's a number of towns, there's at least a dozen towns who do have an ordinance, and it's sort of varying degrees from very simple to more complex. And sometimes the commission is the first step in enforcement. Sometimes the code enforcement officer is. So we'll be working, of course, with Lori and Werner about this as we go through it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think this is a good thing to do. My wife was involved with the Lawns for Lobster, and all you got to do is any summer, and even now winter, is take a look at low tide out at the pier and look over to the left towards the islands, and it's all green. And that's a direct result of people putting fertilizer and everything else on their lawn that is non-organic. I mean, it's there. It's somewhere along the way, Alan, it's going to get the lobstermen. It's going to just spread. I mean, it's just, you take a look at it, it's awful. It's an ugly sight.
Well, I think somebody would take a page out of your book, because your lawn's green all the time, and I don't think you put anything on it, do you?
No, this year I had to do some grub stuff, but I don't do anything else. Nothing. Nope. Not a thing.
I can see we already have a poster child, so that's great.
He does a great job with his lawn.
Well, I also get a lot of seawater here and a lot of moisture, so.
Yeah.
Anything else on that?
And it's been a wet year too, so.
Yeah.
True.
All right. Sorry, Carol. Go ahead.
Okay, so moving along, we would like also to do a demonstration project to create a volunteer effort on clearing invasive plants. And the thinking on that is invasives are something that conservation commissions often are focused on. We have something already on Phragmites on our webpage, on the town webpage. But there's bittersweet and one of the rose species are things that are really starting to take over. And I think many folks may not realize that they're invasive, and they don't know how to get rid of them. So we thought that if we could identify a piece of town land, like for example, say the path to Off Dyke Road to Goose Rocks Beach, or possibly down on North Street when you go across from the old grist mill, as you look down the slope there into the pond, there's a lot of invasive species down there. If we do something in public, people will say, what are you doing? And then we can help to explain it to them. So it'll be both opportunity for us to get out in the field, which a lot of our members are interested in doing, and also a way to educate people in a very non-confrontational manner. And then, of course, we can back that up with communication stuff on the website and so forth and so on. So that, we'll see how that goes. We'd like to get started on that when the weather gets better. It's again, like everything in conservation, it's a fairly complex project. It's hard to get rid of invasives. They're invasive for a reason. They're very tough. But I think the more folks know about it, the better we could.
So I think it's a good idea. I don't know, when was the Patriots Day storm? What year was that? Do you remember, Alan? Or anybody?
It's a while ago.
So
I think it was 2006.
So the year before the Patriots Day storm, the then Conservation Commission organized with the Parson Way Committee a volunteer group. A number of us were included in that, to remove invasives from Colony Beach towards St. Anne's. We did 150 yards of it. And the only way that was all bittersweet. And the only way that you could do that, there's no sense just cutting it down. So we bought those root pullers and everything else, manual root pullers, and pulled out all the roots. And we got it all cleared out as best we could. And then we planted all native stuff. And it looked great, and we got it out. We got that stuff out, and it really made an improvement. Then we had the Patriots Day storm the next April, and it washed everything away. So it was like everything that was planted was gone. So I don't know what's there now, but I do know there were 15, 16 people that worked pulling that stuff out, and it made a difference. It made a difference.
Well, I'm making a note to circle back to you to sort of get some feedback on that and see if any of those folks are still around and would like to try to do it again.
I don't think there's many that want to try to do it again.
Well, then maybe we won't talk about that.
It was, between the stitches and the bruises and everything else like that, it's, I don't think anybody, no, I'm kidding about that, but it was back-breaking work.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Fun though, it was fun. We had fun.
Good. Any other thoughts on that?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's something that
Well, looking at
you could find the volunteers. Yeah.
looking at the Phragmite down this way, I think great idea.
You're growing it down there, aren't you?
Yes. Like a weed. All right,
So-
Carol.
Our third goal is to, and this ties into something that was discussed earlier today, is to assess the town-owned lands and make a recommendation on which lands are most critical in terms of conservation for carbon sequestration, habitat, soil value, etc. There are, as you guys know, town lands, places that are owned by the town. I understand that a lot of them were acquired after the fire. And I don't think they've been cataloged in any way. So it struck us that it would be helpful to know for the select board to know what's out there and what it's good for. Some of it might, as was discussed earlier, be appropriate for housing. Some of it might be higher value in terms of environmental need and should be kept as such. So we're not suggesting that we're going to make a decision on that, but we would like to be part of the cataloging process so the town has a better idea of what's out there.
Who do you think would do that? I mean, what type of a person would do that?
That is a great question because I'll be honest with you, Mike, I don't know. We're actually meeting Steve Hanna and I are meeting with Lori and Warner on Monday to kind of talk through where we might balance volunteer effort, possibly a consultant, or what the town has or is able to do, so that we don't go off half-cocked, so to speak.
I don't know. I don't know if it. I'm just kicking around my own mind whether or not it belongs with the Conservation Commission. I don't know. It's a, you know, as far as identifying the town-owned lands, we can do that, and we've done that, and we've worked with it. It sounds to me like a very detailed project that we probably need some kind of expertise to do.
It's a huge project, and that's certainly one of the years. That's one of the ones that's going to take a bunch of years to do. But I think that what we'll do is do some research and come back with
some kind of a recommendation.
And if we can get some kind of an idea, we might ask for some money in this coming year's budget so that we could get started on it. But again, I don't have any idea yet on who or what or how much.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have more, Carol?
Yes, but I'll make it quick. We are going to be supporting the planning department in climate change activities. I'm not going to say anything more about that. It would primarily be in terms of education and outreach, but I know Eli's next on the agenda, so I'll let him handle that. And then really the other things we're doing are basically
Carol, how would that be different from the last, next to the last item, monitor planning board process?
The planning department, I'm sorry, is because that's where Eli he's doing climate change. So we have already been talking with him in terms of climate change education and how to get that out to the town.
But but the next page also has planning board process. So
goal on number 4 isn't the planning board. It's just the planning department in the guise of Eli. The planning board is just monitoring those meetings so we can get a sense of what's happening in terms of natural resource.
What do you mean by monitoring?
Watching the meetings is really all we mean by that.
Okay, not participating, because I mean, you're not planning to supplant the planning board or augment the planning board. The way I see this is that the Conservation Commission would come up with. I mean, you've got to have, knowing you and knowing the others, that there's got to be some kind of a something in your mind generically. That you want to see. And people they'll be able to look at, whether it's the planning department, whether it's the planning board, whether it's the growth planning committee, that you want to say, hey, here's the things that we think are important, et cetera, and develop some kind of a document so that people know that we don't go into a meeting and say, oh yeah, well, that's a good idea, but we'd rather do this or whatever. We need to have some kind of a document that says what the Conservation Commission is looking. That's my recommendation anyway for consideration, is that we need to do that.
In terms of the planning board work, or just more generally?
More generally, I mean, you're talking about the where is it? I got too many papers here. You're talking about. Support the planning department in climate change activities. And I understand that's a different thing, but when we get to the growth planning committee and the comprehensive plan and monitor the planning board process, well, we have no idea what well, we know what you're talking about, but we have no idea what the detail is that you are interested in. So I think that what the Conservation Commission has to do first is come up with something to say, hey, here's the things that we think we should be looking at, and what, I don't know how much detail, but I mean, we need to have something, because every application that comes into the planning board is going to be different, and we can't probably, I think it would be difficult. I won't never say can't, but it would be difficult to each time an application comes up or there's an issue with something to say, well, we're going to do this one for this one, but we hadn't thought about that before for the other ones. So I think that you need to have some kind of a document that says that you're happy with, that says these are the things that we should look for.
Okay. And I think that we're not implying that we're going to pass judgment on every single application that comes in at all. Right now, a lot of what we're doing is just familiarizing ourselves. As Lori said, this is a very new committee.
Yeah.
Familiarizing ourselves in
It's a talented committee.
Yeah.
So there's no question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no question. Yeah.
so I think we could come up with some kind of a document in terms of trends that we might be seeing from the plan, from what, the planning board can only enforce what's on the books. They're not making creative decisions.
That's correct.
So we might be able to say, we see a trend that, there's not sufficient mitigation for wetlands, or, given climate change, perhaps we should place a higher value on our wetlands. And that would be something that would then go through an entirely a separate process through the town, as opposed to through us. We might just be flagging those things. Is that kind of?
I think that's what I'm getting at, that if we had, the things that the Conservation Commission is thinking about, flagging is a good, that's a good term.
Okay.
That maybe we should be aware of, so when they do come up, then we could ask the questions.
Okay. Yep.
I think that's what you're getting at. I think.
Yeah, that is what I'm getting at. And I think that what this is coming from our perspective, is that the town, in terms of the survey and what you hear, there's a lot of people who care a lot about conservation values in this town.
That's right. Yeah, I agree.
It's an amazing place. And we just feel that our role would be to make sure that that is properly raised to people's attention, so that it doesn't get overlooked.
Okay.
So I have a question. So say somebody comes and they have a place they want to build a house, and it goes in front of the planning board, and it's a regular lot, the whole 9 yards, and you would come in and look at that and give the builder in the town the blessing, or you would say, well, maybe we shouldn't build there because this is an issue? I mean, I'm just trying to get my thoughts around this. Is that part of what you're planning on doing, or?
As I said to Mike, we would never, and we don't have the knowledge or the manpower to go on every application and make some kind of a judgment. But we might say, and I even hate to say this because I'm kind of, I haven't been here long enough, but we might see that a fair number of wetlands were being encroached upon, because that especially in a housing situation, it's easier to put a driveway through wetlands than it is for like a large developer, because that gets flagged. So we might want to be looking at that and saying how much of our wetlands are being eaten away in that situation, and then take it to the appropriate town board or committee and you folks and say, is this something the town wants to do? Does the town want to change?
Yeah, see, Carol, I don't think that's a good, I think the planning board has to make those decisions. And I don't think that they need to have somebody looking over their shoulder. I really don't. And, I was on the planning board for a long time. And every time we ended up having a question like that, we went to the DEP or whoever we had to go to make sure that everything that we were doing was according to the law. And that's what you got to do. If whatever the law is, you got to follow it. And you can't deny somebody something because you think there's too much or something or whatever. If it fits the law, the ordinances that are in place, then you can't second guess. But having said that, if you're going to gather information and over time, and the Conservation Commission wants to make a recommendation to change the ordinances or something, that's the purview of anybody in town. But to second guess the planning board, I couldn't go for that.
I apologize. That is absolutely not what I was trying to say. So we're definitely not considering that our role is to second guess the planning board or give feedback on every single application that comes through. As I say, we're looking at it now to look at trends, and we might, as a committee, come up with a recommendation that would then probably go, to you and to the planning board.
Yeah.
Then we would be hands off.
Okay. I just don't want it to be a gotcha operation, that kind of a thing. Because I think we've got a conservation commission that can be very, very constructive and helpful to the town. So there's a lot of talent there and a lot of good ideas. I said that at the first meeting that I attended, and I believe that. Yeah. I just think that, we just got to take a look and say, okay, gather your information and so forth and make recommendations, or develop, like I said, some kind of a pattern that you're looking, things that you're looking for that you might want to work on. That's all.
Right. I mean, anyway. we're aware that we don't have any power per se, except to make recommendations. And
sure. So. I wasn't thinking about power so much. I was thinking more about conflict, So, okay. All right. I think you've got a good vision on a lot of the things that you're want to do.
Great. I think that's it. The only thing I would just say is that we're also working with the Kennebunk and Arundel on the Kennebunk River report. Those two towns are starting to work together to publicize that and educate folks about what's been learned. And we're going to be having representatives on that group as well.
Is that an extension of the Kennebunk or a watershed study, or is it a different one?
No.
Because that's a great study. I mean, so it's so it's going to be updating that?
I don't know if we're updating it or if we're just taking the results of that report and educating folks about what it says and what can be done to improve the water quality.
It's a great report. It is. In detail.
Okay. So that's it. And thank you for giving me so much time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank the committee too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Moving on, if we have no other questions. Item 9, overview of the climate change work and initiatives. And again,
we also have Abby Sherwin and Karina Grader in the audience. And could we bring them up as panelists? And Eli Rubin, who is our new planner. He's getting the, what do you call that when someone said the Rookie Award? That's what he's getting.
The Rookie Award. Not the Wookie Award.
Not the Wookie Award.
Okay.
And not the Wookie Betts Award. So we have Corinna and Abby and Eli, and I asked them to just update you on where we are. We've been doing a lot of different things, both regionally and as a community. And sometimes it's hard to keep track of them. And so I think Eli will be coming to you on a more regular basis to let you know where we are with things. But to tell you everything that we have going on under this umbrella, and also talk about some, potential exciting opportunities ahead.
Thanks, Larry. And good evening, everyone.
Hey,
to start, I wanted to just read aloud some kind of prepared remarks to give some background, especially for those listening at home. And then I'll screen share the Kennebunkport climate change goals that the board adopted in November of 2020. And we'll touch on those goals and do an update of progress. And as Lori said, Karina and Abby are here. I am merely the person summarizing these things, and really Karina and Abby have been the backbone of all the work that's happened. So we're very thankful that they're joining us tonight to answer questions that I did not know the answer to. And then lastly, I'm just going to show you some of the funding that we're keeping our eyes on, and hear your feedback and insights and provide what our staff recommendations are. So for a little background, The impacts of climate change will continue to challenge municipalities as sea level rise, storm surge, and rising air and water temperatures stress natural systems and deteriorate private property and public infrastructure. Not only will the broad coastal edge of Kennebunkport be especially vulnerable, including the cherished Dock Square district and working waterfront, but also properties and infrastructure miles inland as sea level rise forces upward movement in the water table, affecting drinking water and septic systems. Significant action will need to occur to prevent the worst possible future scenarios and to preserve the natural and built systems for the future. Fortunately, communities around the country are working hard to combat the worst effects of climate disaster impacts, and new federal and state money is available for Kennebunkport to succeed in meeting its climate goals. Kennebunkport's climate goals were adopted by the board in November of 2020 and assigned various staff and committees to accomplish a range of climate-related work. And beginning in 2022, we would like to provide monthly updates to the board and to seek feedback and provide recommendations. The work Kennebunkport has accomplished and is currently engaged in will help prepare the town to be competitive for the infusion of federal and state funding soon to arrive. We are recommending that Kennebunkport apply for state and local funding as it becomes available and as it's informed by the adopted climate change goals. I'm going to try to share my screen. And hopefully you all can see. This is the 4-page document that was adopted in November of 2020. Oops, there's the top. And I just wanted to quickly go over, especially with those who are watching who aren't familiar with, and to highlight these little emblems on the side were the ones that were prioritized to really focus on in the first 1 or 2 years. So as we can see, there's emphasis on greenhouse gas emission inventorying, both municipal and community-wide. There's vulnerability assessments, both coastal and inland. There's a big emphasis on partnering with other local governments and with our regional planning agency. Educating city staff about best management practices in regards to wetland ecosystems. A lot of priority around energy, a big streetlight upgrade, and emphasis on renewable and local resilient renewable energy. There were priorities around land ecosystems, around sustainable landscaping and native and sustainable landscaping on municipal properties too, as well as forest management and woodlot management. And finally, an emphasis on municipal operations, the vehicle fleets to electric vehicles and the minimizing of waste through recycling and composting practices. All right, can you see a new screen now?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Here's a snapshot of some of the milestones that Kennebunkport has already accomplished and the things that we're looking forward to that we will continue to come back to the board and report on. I'll give you just kind of a brief description of what you see here. In 2019, you may remember that Kennebunkport joined ICLEI, the Local Governments for Sustainability, and received its first municipal greenhouse gas inventory. We've recently re-engaged with ICLEI, and Karina will be working with them to produce our community-wide greenhouse gas inventory and an updated municipal. And so that report we're anticipating in the spring of 2022. You may remember also that there were two comp planning workshops in the comp planning process, the Climate 101, What York County Will Look and Feel Like in 2050, and the Groundwater Rising Public Workshop. In January of 2020, Kennebunkport was a founding member of the Southern Maine Regional Sustainability and Resilience Program, which was established and has a shared baseline in 11 categories between the 6 communities that are part of the program. And kind of establishes a common strategies for success. In October of 2021, Kennebunkport participated in the Summit of Climate Action Regional Partners that included Southern Maine Planning Development, SMPDC, the Greater Portland Council of Government, ICLEI, the Local Governments for Sustainability, the Maine Climate Council, and the Governor's Office of Policy, Innovation, and the Future. And that summit was really focused on regional goals of carbon pollution reduction and sea level rise resilience. And in the spring of 2022, we are excited about the greenhouse gas, both the community-wide and municipal report. And importantly, that is going to actually include a custom-tailored science-based targets for Kennebunkport so that Kennebunkport can really hone in on its own climate goals for 2030 and 2050. In the spring of 2022 is this community partnership grant application. I'll talk more about that on the next slide. And in February, the Economic Development Administration Resilience Planning will have outreach workshops. And that is identifying vulnerability to coastal storm impacts and economic resiliency plans. And the Climate Ready Coast started in 2021, this 3-year project that Kennebunkport is a member of. The working group is a partnership of Wells Reserve and SMPDC along with our 10 neighboring communities, and is focused on adaptation, planning, and action for coastal resilience. And then lastly, you may be familiar with the Silver Jacket program through the Army Corps of Engineers. And that is they're going to start doing site visits to the Dock Square in January of 2022 and have a community outreach and engagement component of that in the summer of 2022. And Kennebunkport has been active in reducing carbon pollution. As a founding member of the Southern Maine Solar Collaborative, Kennebunkport now has 85% of our municipal electricity comes from solar, which is huge, and that's on top of the solar array at the fire station. The light conversion projects that we've already accomplished, the town hall has been transitioned to LED bulbs, and as the streetlights, the high efficiency LED bulbs. And Kennebunkport's been decarbonizing the vehicle fleet. We have the 2 electric vehicles. Our first hybrid cruiser, police cruiser, has been ordered. And of course, we have the EV charger at the fire station.
Eli, can we go back to the Silver Jackets thing?
Yeah.
I appreciate that we've got to come up with a long-range plan for downtown, Lower Village and Dock Square for flood control and so forth. But that's years away. What are we thinking, or have we thought about what can we do now to prevent downtown Kennebunkport from flooding? I mean, it's going to take, we've got businesses down there. We've got the bridge is very close to being flooded now on high waters, and you can't get a canoe under there. You can't get, and it all comes into the parking lot in downtown. So I understand that it's going to take years to get some kind of a program, but we need to do something now. So have we given any thought to what we can do now to help the downtown area?
I think, and I'm going to welcome in other input here because I'm still getting my bearing too, being new here. I think that the primary thing that we've been focused on is really getting the stakeholders engaged, because the people who make up the downtown are going to probably have the best sense of what the reality of the situation is. The truth is municipalities have a lot of tools available and people are doing different things, but as far as I can tell, and maybe Karina and Abby as a part of our regional planning agency have a better insight into, I think the public engagement is a really important first step before we were to do something like have a, large infrastructure or regulatory measure, I don't know. It doesn't really answer your question, but
Eli, could you stop sharing for a minute just so people can see each other? Corinna and Abby, do you want to just talk for a minute about the Silver Jacket program? Because it is a more immediate, part of our planning. The other thing that we have been talking about is, especially for the Dock Square and Lower Village area, to really partner with Kennebunk, because anything we do that's going to impact the river, we need to do jointly.
Right.
I understand that, but I and maybe there is, I just don't see it. The sense of urgency that we got to act to do something for either both Lower Village and Dock Square. It's like the little boy putting his finger in the dike or something. We got to do something. And I know there's going to be long-term things that we're going to have to do, but boy, oh boy, we need to do something soon. Or we're going to lose downtown and they're going to lose Lower Village.
Yeah, Corinna and Abby, do you want to add anything?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Abby Sherwin. I'm a senior planner and coastal resilience coordinator with SMPDC, working with Eli, Werner, and Lori and some other town staff on coastal resilience and sustainability issues. And several of the projects that Eli had on his timeline involve assessing specific flood risk and vulnerability in the Dock Square area, as well as the entire town of Kennebunkport. So trying really to better understand what the flood risks are and what the impacts could be, so that we can start to begin to develop tailored strategies and adaptation actions to help the town address those hazards and that flood risk. And the main Silver Jackets project, which was one of the projects noted on the timeline, is a partnership with the Army Corps of Engineers and the Maine Floodplain Management Program and a few other state agencies. And that's a project that's focused on bringing a lot of technical expertise and engineering expertise from the Army Corps to come in and take a detailed look at the Dock Square area, going building by building. And looking at the vulnerabilities and trying to come up with some strategies for protecting that area while protecting the cultural and historical value of the Dock Square area. And I don't know if Werner, you want to mention anything else about that project, because Werner's involved as well, but it really is focused on developing place-based and location-specific strategies to begin to deal with the flood hazards that the town is already facing.
Okay, I got all that, and I've heard that before, and it is great. But when are we talking about action? What's the timeline when we're talking about action? I understand the assessing; it's all necessary, all the planning is necessary. But when do we think all that's going to come to a head so that we can take action? That's, I like to look at it as, okay, there's an end game. When does that end?
Right. So I think that the Army Corps integration with the plan for 2022 would, give us strategies for 2023 and beyond.
Okay.
So to me, it sometimes you only know what you know. And so right now, today, I only know what I know. And we have also had Eric LaBelle, you're familiar with Eric, our engineer, engaged in this as well, because we're talking about those questions about what do we do about the river. Certainly that's a big impact area. And we've talked about communication with the private landowners, because we've got to get them engaged as well. And so to me, these are short-term plans, not long-term plans.
Okay.
But then the magic words after you come up with a strategy is money.
Money, that's right. Yeah. I was
all about money.
I'm so anxious not anxious, but would like to do something sooner than later, is that we got this infrastructure money available, I hope. that we might be able to use some. That's all. If the plan is done and maybe we can apply and et cetera, and get some of it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think Eli will talk a little bit about that because we're trying to set ourselves up for, the best possible scenario to apply for some of those funds.
Like you say, I don't know what I don't know. So you guys know it. So these are just questions I have, and I think
that's what we're asking for is your feedback. And so for us, there's a mountain of work to do. And so the question is, where are your priorities? And so I'm hearing loud and clear, the river and Dock Square is a real concern. And so as we move forward, that's the kind of feedback we need.
Okay. Well, go for it.
Well, you led us right there. This is what we're kind of looking at. What we have our eyes on is kind of, as you pointed out, really an ocean of resources that are kind of coming on the horizon. That we're working with SMPDC to make sure that we are in the right place and that we are ready to apply. I just have highlighted, there's a lot here. I'm not going to go over all these now, but this is one that we're excited about that is going to really lay the foundation for the framework for a lot of the rest of what we're going to be doing. And this is going to help us really articulate and kind of come up with our comprehensive climate action plan. So this is kind of what we're looking at, and it's great to hear your sense of urgency because I feel that too.
I'm glad. No, I know everybody. Lori does. I know everybody does. It's just getting there. It's. I understand assessing and planning and strategy and all that. I mean,
you sound more like Bob King every day, Mike.
No, I look at it and I say, it's not like I know it's a tough thing to crack, but we got people whose livelihood depend on it downtown. We got, buildings down there that are, get a lot of water and flooding and so forth. And I say, and we've known about it for a long time. It hasn't been like just this year. It's been there. And we've identified it, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just government moves slow. I know. And it's, I have a different sense of urgency than some people do, but I'm happy that we're looking at it all and we'll get there. Just save the town. That's all, both towns.
Well, to conclude, staff recommendation right now is to apply for grant funding as this kind of comes off the track and is made available, and as it pursues the goals that were listed in the climate change goals. So, if there's any other questions,
good work.
Eli, do you want to just talk a little bit about what kind of things are necessary to be successful in applying for those funds?
Sure. Should we? We can talk about the one that we're looking at right now. That's has a late March, or that has a March deadline. That's going to involve a public meeting, resolution by the board, and a demonstrated history that the town has a commitment and interest and capacity to pursue these goals. So we think we're going to be pretty competitive in that. And actually, we're talking with Karina this morning about ways that we can collaborate with other towns and unlock, I think it's up to $100,000 for a collaborative effort with other towns. So that's part of it.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but it's very encouraging to see the amount of resources that are going to, as you said, what has always been a known problem, but has never had the funding to really be meaningful. So this is encouraging to me anyway.
Good. Me too.
Corinna and Abby, do you want to add anything?
No, nothing specific to add, but excited to be continuing to work more with Kennebunkport and glad to hear you all are wanting to push this stuff forward. We've certainly enjoyed working with you all the past almost 2 years now and hoping to keep going forward. So thanks for having us tonight.
Well,
Thank you for
being
coming.
here. Yeah.
Great update.
Yeah, it is.
Yep, thank you.
And we could not be doing the things we're doing without the help of Corinna and Abby. I mean, they have been able to leverage what small staff support we've been able to provide and really expand on our efforts. So thank you very much.
Good.
And we'll come back monthly with updates and
I don't know about monthly, but on a
we
regular
don't know about monthly. I'll see you again sometime.
You bet. We'll talk. We'll talk.
All right.
Corinna and Abby.
Thank you all. And we will move on to item 10, comprehensive plan updates. And Werner?
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, hi, Werner.
Hi. So I'd like to have Dan Saunders brought forward, as well as Tom Morgan and Liz Durfee. While we're waiting for for them to be brought forward, just I'll give a little bit of a precursor here. So, Growth Planning Committee has been working very diligently on update or rewrite, I should say, to the town's comprehensive plan. Our current plan was voted in. The final version of it was voted in by the townsfolk in 2012. And so we've been due for an update. And so with that, the Growth Planning Committee, we've enlisted the assistance of planners Tom Morgan and Elizabeth Durfee to help put that new plan together. And so it's been, I would say been a bit of a multi-year project. COVID threw us for a little bit of a loop there, and we took a little bit of a hiatus, as you all remember, with a lot of our projects we put on pause, and then we resumed. And so for this evening, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have both Tom and Liz give a little bit of an overview in terms of the plan, and just a little bit of a discussion in terms of what we've done with it so far. Dan Saunders, the chair, is here as well. So that's it. Tom and Liz, the floor is yours.
Werner, thank you for the intro. My name's Tom Morgan. I'm TZM Planning in Portsmouth, and my colleague is here with us too, Liz Durfee with EF Planning and Design out of Durham, New Hampshire. And as Werner said, we've been working on the plan for the better part of 2 years now, not including the break we took in the middle of the pandemic. We're closing in on the end of the plan now. We've completed 18 chapters of the data analysis and collection and background and history. And I understand Werner has provided you with paper copies of that part. We call that volume 2. That's a lot of material in there, a lot of information. But we're also going to have volume 1, and that's going to be a 10 to 20 page summary that's going to be designed to have wide circulation in the community, and it's going to be much more reader friendly, and it's just going to be a little synopsis of the larger plan. But the idea is you can get the shorter document out to the community in many different venues, so be widely circulated. I understand we don't have, you have a lot of items on your agenda tonight, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I did notice there's a lot going on in the community, just at tonight's meeting that ties right into the comp plan. Certainly the the discussion on Dock Square is something the Growth Planning Committee spent quite a bit of time on. And that is a tough nut to crack, but, they've been working hard on that. And as Eli just said, there's some opportunities for outside funding to help you out in the near term. And comprehensive plan can be helpful in that. If you can point to a place in your comprehensive plan that supports that proposal, that will enhance your prospects for obtaining the money. And then another thing I'd like to mention is we're about to, the Growth Planning Committee is also about to start in on goals and policies and recommendations. We're going to be beginning on December 21st. And we've collected a lot of these strategies from the 2012 plan. Of course, we've added a lot of new ones. And we also made a point to integrate the Selectmen's climate goals into that list as well. I know that was mentioned by Eli tonight. He went over it briefly. Back in November of 2020, the Selectmen adopted 38 goals. So that's also going to be integrated into the comprehensive plan. And because the comp plan is going to go to town meeting, it's going to have a little more weight to it once it passes town meeting. But that's a really quick introduction to it. And I'd really like to let the Selectmen comment, give us some feedback, ask some questions. We'd be curious to know what you think of the comp plan so far. So I'm going to throw the ball right into your court.
Comments?
My only comment is I just received this book a day or so ago. I haven't had a chance to really go through it in detail, and I just need a little time to absorb all this.
Well, that's a fair comment. And the other thing I'd like to say, I'd like to invite the Selectmen to join us at the Growth Planning Committee meetings anytime you're available, because we'd love to have your input.
Well, listen, I've read all of it. So I got some questions. This comprehensive plan update, is this part of the vision, or is this? I've got the vision in the book, and it's in there. I got some things I want to change, but it's wordsmithing. So I'm not going to bring that up. But is this what we got in our package? I don't mean just a. It's a summary of the entire book. Is that what this is?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
That was suggested that we were asked to draft a summary, so you wouldn't have to read all, the entirety of the plan, because it's quite a bit.
Well, the book is impressive, and there were a number of charts that I looked at today, which I knew about. I didn't know about. I had a sense of the number of people that don't live here and have an address here, and you've got one chart in there that shows the blue dots and the yellow dots, and the blue dots, if you take a look at it, almost every damn blue dot is on Ocean Avenue area, and there's a few scattered inland and Goose Rock Creek. But that was an eye opener. There's a number of different other things too. I would like to say a couple of things as I went through this update, and we don't say much about in the update. We don't say much about the village parcel. I haven't seen an awful lot other than we're talking about the type of housing, things we want, and all that good stuff in there, and that we've talked about a lot. But there are some things I take as we're talking about this and so forth. I know we have there's over on page. Well, I don't want to get into all the detail, but I will discuss it with Eli and Werner. But a couple of things that did strike at me. When we're writing things like this, I get sensitive to the way we write, and somewhere in here, we describe people moving to Maine as being well-heeled people. And I just don't think that's a way that we want to talk about the people moving into town. I got a circle here somewhere. And
I remember that, Mike.
And I just don't think that that's a professional way to go about it. And as I'm looking at some of this, I'm saying some of it needs to be rewritten. And like, if you look at the draft vision statement, I think there's a number of things that it says we will encourage sustainable tourism that generates less noise, consumes fewer resources, and leaves a lighter footprint in the community, sorry. And then it says the change in the tourist industry will help this change in the tourist industry will alleviate the traffic congestion in Dock Square. Well, there's no explanation anywhere how it's going to alleviate.
How are you going to do it?
How are you going to do it?
Well,
So,
I got to say.
And I found a lot of inconsistencies in this draft statement and what's in this book, which is a very well, I think, put together book. And a lot of work went into it. So a lot of history, a lot of everything. But the way this draft vision statement is written, I don't know, as Werner, are you happy with it?
So, Mike, the vision statement is one of those pieces. I think we've been through 10 drafts of the vision statement at this point with the committee. So, it's something that, I think we've continued to work on. And I think we're definitely, I know the committee is interested in hearing, the board's input, regarding this. And, I think the intention is to take that input back to growth planning and have some further discussions over it. So
I'm not looking to second guess. If you're happy with it and the growth planning committee is happy with it, then, I'm not I haven't been at your meetings and everything. I've just looked at the book. And if you guys are happy with it, fine. I just look at it and I say, I think maybe you want a little more.
Yeah, I guess I'll say this is, the vision statement is a work in progress. The material that you read was where the vision stood as of last Friday. And on Tuesday night, the Growth Planning Committee made a number of, 20, 30 more changes to it. So, they are working hard on it. And some of the stuff that people asked to be changed have already been changed.
Here's the thing about the well-heeled, but and I agree that I guess climate change will prompt the migration of people from other parts of the country here and so forth. But is that I couldn't find that in the comprehensive plan. Is that in the I can admit that I tried to read as much as I could.
I'm fairly sure it is, yeah.
Sorry, I lost my voice. I think it's in the demographics chapter.
It's in the demographic? Okay.
I believe it is.
Okay.
I can confirm that.
Okay. Yeah, I looked for it. I was just trying to correlate what was in the summary, what's in the book. And the book is outstanding, by the way. Whoever put it together, it's very good. And I think the summary overall is good as well. I just some of the choice words, I just don't think that that's something that I'd want to call people who are moving to the. It's sort of like a put down to people. So
you have my word that we are going to eliminate that word well-heeled.
I've marked it up, and you can take it as, but
No, as soon as you said it, I said, okay, that's going out.
I have one comment. Well, I have many, but I would just get into the one. For transportation, I guess it's under transportation, not really sure. It's written that we should have bicycle paths and walking paths.
Yep,
and sidewalks, et cetera, et cetera. People come to Kennebunkport because we're quaint. We're a quaint New England town. We don't have the type of roads, especially wide enough we have roads that don't even allow 2 cars down going different ways. So it's a nice idea to say, oh, we're going to have bicycle paths everywhere and people can walk all over town because we're going to have sidewalks. We don't have those kinds of roads. And personally, I don't want to see that. I like Kennebunkport the way it is. And if it's a narrow road and, maybe we stop bicycles from using those roads.
We had thousands of bikes this year. Everywhere you went, we had bicycles.
Which is fine, but let them use the roads that have bike paths.
Well, if they want to get from point A to point Z instead of going A to B, you can't.
But my point is, if they want to use the back roads, they can use the back roads. I mean, is Craig still in the audience? How many bicycle accidents have we had over the past 5 years? Because if you're using the back roads, you're driving slowly. And if there is a bicycle on the road, you get behind the bicycle and pass when you can. I don't want to see our roads be widened all over the place.
I guess we'll disagree, Sheila.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not proposing them to be wider either, because just the terrain is just very challenging to do something. But you wouldn't want to. And the problem is when you make the road wider, the cars drive faster, so you're not really enhancing safety.
My point.
Yeah. Now, when we're talking bike paths, a lot of that discussion was in places where there aren't any roads. For example, you could run a bike path to the length of the village parcel. You could have an independent bike path running through that land, and that would be safe. You could put kids out there. They could bike to school.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
we did it on Mills Road without widening the road.
Yeah.
We put bike paths on the sides. We did it in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And so we've done it without widening the roads. And
there are a lot of back roads. There are a lot of back road. Well, I call them back roads. Like Turbot's Creek. There are homes on Turbot's Creek Road that are built right on the road. So you're not going to be able to grab land from them. And as I said, people come to Kennebunkport for its quaintness. So that's my 2 cents.
Understood. Any other comments, questions about the plan?
I would just add that for folks who haven't fully read through the plan at this point, if there's any specific topics or any areas of interest that you want to make sure we address in the plan, you could pass that information along to us tonight or to Werner or Dan, and we'll bring that up at the Growth Planning Committee meeting.
Okay, I got some questions. I'll give them to Werner or you or whoever, rather than take the time here. But overall, I think that I had been on the Growth Planning Committee for 3 or 4 years, and I think that this is a good job, an excellent job. So, and you can't get everybody to agree with you. So, it's an excellent job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I would like to say too, you guys appointed a great committee too in the Growth Planning Committee. There's a range of opinions there, and I'm impressed with how well they work together.
It's a lot of reading, though. I got to tell you. Nice charts, though. Really nice. Nice graphics.
Dan, did you want to say anything as chair? Or?
Just I guess I'd go on Tom's point. I mean, one of the keys that when we were doing this update is that we wanted to have that shortened summary for the town folks to be able to see and not have to go through the many, many pages we have. And if they found something that was piqued their interest, then that other document's there to go look into the details. That sort of drove us or guided us in our how we're going to come up with our strategies. And the other point was on the strategies. Many of those got lost in the 2012 plan because they were buried in the document. And the plan here is that they're going to be right out in front. And so that committee chairmen, like myself and heads of departments, will have those sort of those to-do lists right there in front of them to see the things that we are committing to. And our plan is to get their commitment to those strategies prior to its publication. So it becomes, as you were talking about, Mike, action. There's a lot of activities in these, a lot of strategies. Our old plan had over 188 different action items.
Yeah.
Right. That we were able to accomplish some, and others, they sort of fell away. And the goal is not to have that happen. Maybe have 100 action items that are achievable and that we can, continue to move forward on, and then add others in the next go around.
It's hard when you got limited people resources to do.
For sure.
Yeah, it's very difficult. And you can put targets down and assign, people and so forth. But at the end of the day, it comes down to people and money.
Right.
So it's tough. I've been there working on that, and it's tough.
So we got to be cognizant of that and make sure that we come up with.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather come up with 20 actions that we're going to do in the next 10 years than have 180 sitting out there that we don't achieve.
You need some wins. You need some accomplishments. You do. Yeah.
I got one more thing I'd like to add, if I could, and that's I know we have an audience here at the select board meeting. The document in its entirety is accessible to the public on our project website. And the address is kennebunkportcp.info. And if you go there on your browser, you can see the all 18 chapters and the results of the public polls and the events that we had. There's really a lot of information on the website. It's kennebunkportcp.info.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just showcase that bit of it as well. It's the first time that that we've integrated a separate website into the comp plan process like this. And if you have some time, take a few moments and look through that. It's really a very well put together website. That's easy to navigate and that has been a tremendous resource in terms of putting all the current work documents out there to the public.
Make one more comment. Kennebunkport has always been a tourist community. There's no getting around it. And I know that the vision is for all electric, but I also don't want to have something go out that kind of isn't welcoming, say, to regular cars, to the fact that we do have parking, things like that. I don't want it to go out to make it sound like it. If people aren't getting totally involved in this whole electric car, electric bikes, all that kind of stuff, that they're not welcome. That's what I'm a little afraid of.
Yeah, I would say the plan in its entirety is quite supportive of the existing tourist industry.
Okay. With all the futuristic things in here, I just want to make sure that regular old tourists are still welcome to come to town.
Absolutely. Nobody's even suggested we put any pressure on them to do anything other than what they've been doing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is everything in the comprehensive plan is, we want to see this, we want to see this, we want to see this. And, it's not taking into consideration the fact that, not everybody is going to have an electric car. Not everybody is going to have an electric bicycle. So we want make sure that people are welcome.
Yeah.
In a
Sheila, I think you're overreacting. We're talking about what the town does, not what the people that visit the town do. And boy, I think that we would be really, really remiss if we didn't look towards electric or hybrid or whatever. And I don't think there's anything in this that I've read in this document that says that there is anything unwelcoming to people who drive into town with an electric vehicle. If we become and purchasing our vehicles electric or hybrid, that's the way it's going to be. I mean, that's the way the future is going to be, and we can't say that the future isn't here.
And I guess I would add, if I could add one thing, and I appreciate your feedback, Sheila, and that's an important thing because we are trying to be very cognizant that you don't, as we're moving forward and looking at what the future is and setting ourselves up for that, we also still have what we have today, and we'll have visitors come in who have what they have today. And the goal of the plan is not only to set our what it is for the next 10 years and even set us up for the next 30 to 50 years, but it's also when approved by the town voters and then approved by the state, it becomes supportive of all our land use ordinances. So at times we want to put things in that plan that will be supportive of the town if so forth that they wanted to improve some infrastructure to support hybrid vehicles. Not saying that everyone's got to go hybrid, but that we put in some charging stations and the plan supports that and supports the ordinances for that and any changes that may be needed to do that. So we're always looking at that as well as trying to make this a flexible document that's going to be supportive of our land use ordinances so that if we get challenged on them, we've got the state's backing that the comp plan meets their approval and it's met the approval of our townspeople.
Well, I think you've done a good job. Don't get me wrong. I just want to make sure that we are as welcoming toward what I consider your everyday guy.
The everyday guy now is going electric. You know?
I don't think so.
I think so.
I think what's important is that they're getting feedback from people. I mean, in the growth planning committee process, there is public input through there, but you can also, just like in any committee, get used to talking the same language. And so our hope is that with this overview that's in the Selectmen's packet and the information we've been provided tonight, that we give people a sense of what's in the comp plan, because ultimately we want a comp plan that's in concert with the town so that it is endorsed by the town. And so certainly people can attend those meetings and they can look at the website and keep updated on it. But I think the feedback you guys are giving us is a flavor of that community sentiment. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I love it when Sheila and Mike are the A and Z.
Hey, listen, but we're good friends. We just like to.
We just have different views.
We have different views, and so it's somewhere in between.
One thing about us, we can agree to disagree.
Yeah. No, it's not personal. I hope not, Sheila.
No, it's not personal.
It never has been.
And I can appreciate the fact that, electric cars have come a long way, but I personally don't think they've got room.
But you know that most of the automotive companies are going to switch to all electric cars.
They're not switching. They're making more electric cars.
No, they're switching. General Motors is going to go totally electric. So I mean, it's like.
God, I hope Buick doesn't.
Where's the horse and buggy? That's what we really need.
Even the Hummer is electric.
Can be. Yep, can be. Do you know what is the percent of electric vehicles now? Do you know? Have any idea?
Pat knows more about that than I do, but it's getting up there. It's getting more and more, but I don't think it's a huge percent yet.
It's very small, but where it's a larger percent than here is the tourists themselves are driving electrics. I was out in the service place on the Kennebunk on the Turnpike the other day, and there were a lot of electric cars there just charging up. And those are people coming from the south, going up Maine. They could stop anywhere.
I think as soon as they can get up to the 400 and 450 mile range on a consistent basis, then I think that there'll be a big changeover.
Bigger. Yeah, bigger. And I think there's going to have to be a lot more charging stations in the future.
Yeah. We had a line downtown with them, Sheila.
We did.
Instead of parking meters, we'll have charging stations.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can see that in maybe 50 years.
Yeah.
I can.
No, you can't.
I won't see it.
I won't.
Maybe you might, but
I might be looking down.
Up or down? Which is it?
Well, hopefully down. Oh, all right. That was a good report. Thank you very much. Any other comments?
Other than just to say that the committee's getting ready to start really diving into, the strategies piece section. And so I think that's, the strategies, that's really where the rubber meets the road. So, so we've got our work cut out for us. As Dan mentioned, there's a pretty extensive list and we definitely are going to be, reaching out, to folks and committees that are identified as responsible parties to make sure that, we're doing it right and that there's buy-in and understanding with what these goals and strategies are. But the growth planning committee is going to take the first crack at it. And then we'll communicate, with other boards and groups. So stay tuned.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
And girls.
Women.
Excuse
ladies.
me. Women.
Ladies. All right. Moving on. Item 11, update on the short-term rentals.
So I asked Eli and Werner to give an update on where we are with short-term rental registrations.
Sure. So included in your packet there is just some numbers. I can read them aloud for people watching at home. The online portal for license applications opened on November 5th. Since then, since the memo was written, we've received 255 application submittals. 173 have been approved with 78 pending review. The turnaround time is at most 3 to 4 weeks. Many people receive it much sooner. We have identified approximately 140 short-term rental units that are currently being advertised but have not yet registered. So we're encouraging everyone to get registered as soon as possible. And in total, it's been a little under 100,000 generated in fees. The town's tried to be proactive in some additional notifications. We have been in touch with staff at at Expedia Group, who owns VRBO and HomeAway and a dozen or so other rental websites. And they actually emailed all hosts who rent in Kennebunkport a reminder. I got another message from them today. They sent a second reminder. So they've been a great partner in trying to get everyone into compliance before the registration period ends. We've also mailed out via certified mail through the host compliance website to all, a letter as a reminder to apply and the deadline to all those 140 short-term rental units that are advertised but have not yet registered. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So there is quite a few short-term rental applications that's come in. So you're expecting at least another 140 more?
Yeah, actually, since I wrote this, we're already up to just under 300. They keep pouring in. maybe a result of the notifications or just that people are sensing the upcoming deadline. We're also going to have published in 2 of the local papers. So we're really, we're anticipating quite a few more here by the end of the year.
So we're getting into the range that we estimated that we were going to be at as far as total rentals applications and so forth. So it's encouraging. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Keep in mind, as Eli said, we're getting ready to, to tip the 300 mark, and that's without, at least, from what we understand in the timeline, that's, that 140 that's been identified haven't received that notification yet. So,
Werner, have you estimated how many of your applications are from Goose Rocks?
I'll let Eli speak to that. I think he spent a little bit of time parsing out from the applications that we have, how many of those have been in the Goose Rocks area.
Yeah, at the moment, it's about 125 of the almost 300 that are from Goose Rocks Beach neighborhood. So approximately.
I thought it would be more.
Well, there's 140 that haven't come forward yet somewhere.
No, I thought there'd be a greater number coming from Goose Rocks, like right away.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Eli, do you want to just remind the public of some?
Yeah, if there's no further questions, I'd just like to kind of take the opportunity to remind the public of a few things. Goose Rocks Beach is not exempt from the short-term rental license and will also need to apply by December 31st in order to rent in 2022. Of course, beginning in 2023, any potential future caps on short-term rental licenses will not apply to properties in Goose Rocks Beach. But if you want to rent in 2022, you do need to obtain a license by the end of the year. There are no defined eligibility requirements yet for renting in 2023 and beyond. People who purchase homes or wish to begin renting short-term in the future will have the opportunity to apply for a license every fall for the subsequent year. However, potential future caps may limit the total number of licenses issued in a given year. Properties purchased in 2022 will only be allowed to rent short-term if the prior owner has already obtained a license, and that includes Goose Rocks Beach. To be eligible for a license, the required proof of rental history must be of the applicant and not that of a past owner or property manager. And lastly, for the application, a professional plot plan is not needed. A hand-drawn or to scale plan is fine. You can also just do a screenshot from the town's GIS website or Google Maps satellite image. And lastly, fire alarms are required in every bedroom and outside each sleeping area and should be noted on the floor layout. And we appreciate all of the complete applications that we have been getting. Every time someone submits a complete application, it makes the process go a lot faster and we can have a speedier turnaround.
Good. So I just want to say that Codes has done an outstanding job with the implementation of this. It has been a tremendous amount of work. I mean, like most things, the things that people see at this meeting are just a tip of the iceberg. And the amount of time in setting up a program from scratch, as well as the time that staff has spent answering questions. I don't know if Werner wants to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I asked, both Eli and Andrew Welch, who have been really have been working through the majority of the interactions with folks, and they've definitely spent a fair amount of time with folks. Everything from helping them figure out plot plans and septic designs, to dealing with resubmissions of information. It's a lot of work.
And that's not even the time reviewing and approving the permits.
That's correct. Yes. And I can tell you, I hear, as I hear the conversations going on and the interactions that, that folks are appreciative of the help that they're receiving, from both Eli and Andrew, as they're working through, this process. But it is definitely been quite a bit of work for staff to work through. And I appreciate the hard work that they're doing with this. It's a new process, it's a new program, and folks have been patient as we work through nuances and bugs. But we continue to move forward, at a good pace, so it's been quite a bit of work, but we continue to move forward.
Good.
Looks like you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah.
Pulling it all together.
And it's good to see the cooperation from the public too.
We're going to close the Eli and Werner show.
Okay.
Good job, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
And we'll move on to item 12. Commit sewer fees for 2 newly occupied properties.
Good evening, everyone. So as you may recall, we changed the wastewater ordinance last year to start billing newly constructed properties upon the property owner obtaining occupancy. And we recently had 2 more properties obtain occupancy. One was 14 Timber Way. The other was 7 Burles Way. And we've been prorating the sewer user fees for the remaining part of the year. So 14 Timber Way, map block and lot 41-2-8B27. The prorated amount is $72.09. The 7 Burles Way, which is map block and lot 23-1-19A1. The prorated amount was $129.77. So I'm recommending that the board commit the above sewer rates for a total of $201.86.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to commit the wastewater bills to 14 Timber Way for $72.09 and 7 Burles Way for $129.77.
Thank you.
You second?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a vote. Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
And Sheila says aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Chris.
Great, thank you.
Item 13, approve waste hauling permits for 2022. Lori?
So it is the time of year where we commit for the applications for waste hauling. We have 2 before you tonight. One is for Casella Waste Management. The other is for Waste Management of Maine. And they have paid their fees, and staff recommend that both get approved.
And we've used them both before.
Correct.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
And Sheila says aye. Motion passes. And item 14, accept the following donations to the nurses' general account. Do we do each individually, or can we do them all together?
So we did send you out an amended agenda because the $500 from Kathy Anazuski will go to the nurses' general needs account, and then the others will go to the nurses' general account. So we just need 2 motions for those 2 accounts.
I have, is that what's the difference? I have 400, Kathy Anazuski.
That's what I have.
That's what it was, yeah. 400.
James has it.
Lori, is that a misprint?
Well, Tracy's here.
Here. The $400 was a misprint. It is a $500 donation, and it was intended for the nurses' general needs account. I didn't realize that there were 2 separate accounts, so that was my error.
It's okay.
So $500.
Is that the only one?
For that account, yes.
Nurse donation to the nurses general account. Wait a minute, I'm confused now. The 500 is going into the nurses general account.
General needs account.
What?
The general needs account.
Okay. Oh, and that, Tracy, I'm with you. I didn't know that was different either. Okay, so which two are going into the needs account?
What's the difference? What is
So Allison, do you want to speak on these differences?
Sorry, but I don't never heard of that.
Is this semantics?
I think Allison is watching us while she eats dinner. I'm not sure, but as I understand, the general needs account is for needs for the public, and the nurses general account can go to the public as well as needs for nursing staff.
Oh,
Okay, so is it just the 500 going
So
into
the
the needs?
500 is going to the nurses general needs account.
Okay, so we have $50 from Patricia Tynan. We have $50 from Lori Lord. We have $100 from Valerie Jackson. And we have $1,000 from the Kennebunkport Residents Association going into the nurses general account.
So moved.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, taking a vote. Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
And Sheila says aye with much appreciation. And now I need a motion for the $500 from Kathy Anazuski to the nurses general needs account.
So moved.
Second.
And Pat?
Aye.
Alan? Whoops, I skipped Mike.
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
And Sheila. Motions pass. And thank you very, very much. Okay, I've got another page. I've lost my way. On to other business. Patrick, do you have any other business?
No, I don't. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present to the board about the Housing Trust.
Well, we're very proud of you.
Thank you.
And Mike, do you have anything else?
I have one request. I'm just asking, just nicely, that somebody get the spelling of my name correct on the, my name is spelled W-E-S-T-O-N, not W-S-T-I-N. If they would, so it goes out to the public, it says Mike Weston. And my emails get addressed from Kennebunkport Television to Mr. Weston with an I-N. Just let people know that it's an O-N, that's all. And change my name on the screen. Thanks. Well, I don't ever recall. I mean, I've never put my name in there. So how does that work?
It might be when we put it in as a panelist and invite you that it puts it in. So we'll check our records. Absolutely.
You know, my emails are coming to Weston too. So but anyway, it's okay. Well, I just that's been my name all my life. But if you want me,
I think that's a very reasonable request.
What's it say on your paycheck?
Which paycheck? The one we get?
The awesome one you get.
The big one you get from the town, Mike.
The big one, yeah.
Big one.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. I would appreciate that.
If you think that part of your name is spelled in, you should see what they do to my name. Not the town, but people in general. All right. Alan, do you have anything?
Absolutely nothing, thank you.
All right. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated in Prelude this past weekend. It was very much a success. We had very few complaints about the changes that were made, or at least that's what I heard. And we're very proud of the committee and everyone who worked so hard on Prelude. And we have one more weekend coming up. And don't let the rain scare you. It's only going to be showers on Saturday, and it's going to be a warm day. So come on out and have a wonderful time at the second weekend of Prelude. And I will pass this now on to Lori.
So I just want to thank the board and staff for all the work in this past year. You know, the past couple of years have been very challenging, and you could see just by the reports tonight the amount of work that staff have been engaged in over the past year, or whether it's Prelude or whether it is simply plowing the roads and answering the phones. It has taken a toll on everyone, and staff is no different. But I appreciate all the time and energy that the selectmen have put into making the town the place that it is today. And I really thank staff for all their work, because without it, we wouldn't be where we are.
Very good. We have a good staff, Laurie.
You do. We have a great staff.
A great town. Yeah. Anything else?
That's it for me.
That's it. All right. Approve
the next meeting. We need to note that it's 9 o'clock on the 23rd.
Right. So the next selectmen's meeting is going to be a morning meeting, not televised, correct?
No, it will be Zoom and televised, but it will be just a morning warrant meeting. Yep.
Okay. On the 23rd, 9 a.m. on the 23rd. Thank you, Mike.
Motion to approve the warrant.
Second.
Alan?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And Sheila says aye. Somebody?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
And Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
And Sheila says aye. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for all the people who participated in giving us all their updates tonight. It's very informative. So I will say good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Aye.
Don't forget to sign tomorrow.
Right.
Right.